Michele, you as an investor, sounds like you've been all over the spectrum, but obviously e-commerce has been where you've landed now with Clearbanc and a big focus in your life. Probably this gives you a little bit of an edge on Dragon's Den over some of the other dragons because you don't have to necessarily give up equity. When you're dealing with Clearbanc, it's, percentage of sales until the money's returned, et cetera, et cetera. Love that idea. But there's been this shift, and I've experienced it because about almost 40 years ago, when I was watching television and my screen went dark and there was nothing on, and I called the cable company and said, "Hey, what's happening?" They're like, "Oh, well, it's only an 18-hour-a-day network. 6 hours a day is dark." And then I started filling those airwaves, and this was my transition into e-commerce from what I'd been doing before. But now fewer people are watching TV, and we've experienced, a huge decline from television viewership, but it's now on the internet, so Facebook and Instagram. When was it you realized this was the future, Michele? And how? Obviously Clearbanc is very focused on the metrics that are coming from customer acquisition cost, et cetera, of the people you're investing in. But where did this all happen for you?
Kevin, it's a great question. And I love your story of how you invented the infomercial. Like, that is fantastic. You know what I mean? I called them and figured out if there was an opportunity. So again, it's like Sunil was saying, every new space is not exciting for the first little bit. And so I was super early in e-commerce, right? So when I was at, the recession got so bad after the caviar business failed, I actually went to go work at Sears for a year. And so believe it or not, in Canada, they were the largest e-commerce retailer in 2010. So I actually got to see, Sears was, believe it or not, because they had this massive, billion-dollar catalog business. And really a catalog business was the same thing as e-commerce, right? You had to have the infrastructure to pick and pack a washing machine and a white t-shirt, and you had to be able to ship that. And so, when we started, first of all, we were using offline media to convert to online sales. So when we started Buytopia in the early days, we were buying newspaper ads and saying, "Look, this is the deal of the day. Come to buytopia.ca." And then we were buying billboards. And then, we had done some early experimentation, with video. And I remember how powerful it was because it was so scary. I remember we had $30,000 in our bank account and I spent $10,000 on a newspaper ad. Like, to be clear, that meant that if no one read that newspaper ad and if no one came to our website, like, the company was pooched. And so it was amazing when Facebook started saying, "Look, for $100, let's see if we can acquire you 2 customers." And you could do it with such smaller bite sizes, and you could track that, the person that actually saw the ad bought your product, and you could get better with messaging and conversion. And so we were there, like, right in the early days buying Facebook ads. We were there in 2014 when we launched our first app and Facebook started doing digital downloads of apps. I think we were one of the very first buyers of that in Canada. And the last thing is, like, again, when I was at Sears in 2010, e-commerce was known as a single store. So that means that if you had a retail chain with 300 stores, one store was equivalent to all of the e-commerce sales. Now that we're in 2020, e-commerce could be 50, 60, 90% of your sales. And so it has been a 10-year journey here. I think COVID has certainly accelerated this because everyone this year, if you wanted to buy your groceries in the store, you couldn't. And so you learned how to use e-commerce. But these things have taken a long time, and, digital acquisition is incredibly powerful.